Welcome to Neon Cobra. Let's kick into it. All right, I want to talk a little bit more about process this week, specifically around disaster recovery as a service. So I've received questions throughout my career about what product can I bring in? Does Azure Site Recovery work? Can I just turnkey this and go? Now, yes, you can. Maybe it's a really deep conversation, right? Generally, it always starts with the client saying, look, I need some help. I want to be highly available. I can never go down, any money, I'll be fine. But what we end up finding is when we start talking about resiliency and the architecture required to do that becomes very, very expensive very quickly. So if we take it back a step, usually what I ask people is, what are we trying to protect from? Right? If they're like ransomware, well, disaster recovery is not going to help you with that, right? The concept of the disaster recovery portfolio that you design for a disaster may, but the technology of instant replication into Azure is just going to replicate the problem up, right? That's where your backups come in. If they're like, we can never afford downtime and they're using some legacy line of business application that essentially requires an always on VPN, then we have to build a lot of stuff around that, like active AVD hosts. We have to talk about networking. We got to talk about what the failover and failback looks like. Like when there is an outage, what's your response time to answer and then fail in? And you have to set these kind of break glass scenarios. When you start getting down, we also have to figure in like what's the scenario we're protecting from, as mentioned. If there's a fire, cool. I'm spun up and online in Azure, but if you have no office space to sit your clients and your reps down to work, what's the point? Right? If you rely on specific on-premise items, moving everything into Azure is great, lights are on, but no one can access it. So when we're talking about disaster recovery, it's not a technology solution, it is a planning solution. You have to scope for the entire scenario, right? So it's very business level conversations. So this is less of a technical one, but I tend to get a lot of conversations around this. So I really want to kind of shine a light on the business process that generally goes into this and less around the technology. So hopefully we have a little bit of conversation around this. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, connect with me on LinkedIn. And with that, we'll catch you next time.